Picture yourself at the Earl's Court Motor Show in September 1949. Britain is still rationing food. Bomb damage scars city streets. And there, under the exhibition lights, sits something that would serve Britain faithfully for the next 15 years. The Rover 75. No traditional upright radiator grille, no separate headlamps. Instead, a streamlined body that looks like it sailed from America. And right there, in the middle of the grille, sits a single headlamp staring at you like a mythological creature. The motoring press dubbed it the Cyclops. Traditional Rover buyers were horrified, but this controversial beginning launched a car that became Britain's most dependable companion for doctors, lawyers, bank managers, and professional men throughout the 1950s and early 60s. This is the story of the Rover P4, affectionately known as Auntie Rover. A car that started with controversy, evolved through constant refinement, and earned a reputation for reliability that still resonates 75 years later. From 1949 to 1964, 130,342 P4s rolled off the Solihull production line. This wasn't just a car. For 15 years, the P4 was a trusted companion that started every morning, never left you stranded, and projected exactly the right image of understated prosperity. It became so synonymous with reliability that Britain gave it a nickname usually reserved for favorite relatives, Auntie. Section 1. The birth of Britain's most dependable companion. Post-war Britain in 1949 needed cars it could trust. Petrol was rationed. Foreign currency was scarce. But for doctors making house calls, solicitors traveling between courts, veterinarians covering rural practices, reliability wasn't optional, it was essential. Rover's managing director Spencer Wilkes had seen Raymond Loewy's 1947 Studebaker Champion and was fascinated by its streamlined styling. So Rover purchased 2 Studebakers, shipped them to England, and used one to create the Roverbaker development mule. Chief engineer Gordon Bashford led the design team. Their goal wasn't to copy American styling, but to understand how modern design principles could create a car that would serve British professional men reliably for years. The result was built to a standard rather than a price. The 2,103 cubic centimeter inlet over-exhaust straight-six engine produced 75 brake horsepower. When the Motor magazine tested the car in 1949, they recorded a top speed of 83.5 miles per hour and 0 to 60 in 21.6 seconds. Fuel consumption, 27.8 miles per gallon. The test car cost £1,106. That central Cyclops headlamp dominated initial reactions. But beneath that talking point was genuine engineering, independent front suspension using coil springs and wishbones, solid chassis construction, quality materials throughout. This was a car built to last. Road and Track magazine tested a P4 in August 1952. Bob Dearborn wrote, "I honestly believe, barring the Rolls-Royce, that there is no finer car built in the world today." Section 2. Learning and adapting. The early P4s taught Rover valuable lessons. The hybrid hydromechanical braking system proved problematic. By 1950, Rover switched to fully hydraulic brakes, significantly improving reliability. The dashboard originally featured rectangular instruments. Within months, Rover switched to circular instruments with chrome surrounds. Sometimes serving customers well means respecting their preferences. That controversial Cyclops lasted until October 1952. Public pressure forced its removal, and the redesigned grille proved more acceptable to conservative buyers. The 4-speed manual initially came with a column-mounted gear lever. In September 1953, Rover introduced their distinctive curved central gear lever, a unique shape allowing 3-abreast front seating while providing easier gear changes. These weren't failures, they were signs of a company listening and continuously improving a car designed for long service. Production of the original 75 ended in 1954 after 33,267 units. Section 3. Expanding the range. In September 1953, Rover announced two new models, the budget-minded Rover 60 with a four-cylinder engine and the more powerful Rover 90 with a 2.6-litre six-cylinder. The Rover 60 used a 1,997 cubic centimetre four-cylinder, producing 60 brake horsepower. This Land Rover engine, modified for smoother road use, gave buyers Rover quality at a lower price. Rural doctors appreciated the lower running costs. Many enthusiasts claim the 60 handled better than six-cylinder models thanks to less weight over the front wheels. The Rover 90 brought a 2,638 cubic centimetre six-cylinder, producing 90 brake horsepower. This gave genuine 90-mile-per-hour performance. For solicitors and bank managers projecting success, the 90 struck the perfect balance. The October 1954 Paris Motor Show brought further improvements: a bigger boot, wide rear window, and proper flashing indicators. From September 1955, buyers could specify individually adjustable front seats, perfect for married couples needing different positions. Section 4. The high-performance years. In 1956, Rover introduced the 105 series. These cars used the 2.6-litre engine with high-compression cylinder head and twin SU carburetors, boosting output to 108 brake horsepower. Three variants: the standard model with manual gearbox, the 105R with Rover Drive automatic transmission, and the 105S with manual and overdrive. The Motor magazine tested a 105R in 1957, 93.9 miles per hour, top speed, 0 to 60 in 23.1 seconds. Cost: £1,696. The 105S was quicker, capable of 101 miles per hour. Total production reached 10,781 units. In 1957, Rover updated the front wings. The rounded look gave way to more angular wings with higher-mounted indicator lights, maintaining family resemblance to the newly introduced P5. Section 5. The final evolution. By September 1959, Rover replaced all existing models with two new ones: the 80 with a four-cylinder engine and the 100 with a six-cylinder. The 80's 2,286 cubic centimetre engine produced 77 brake horsepower. Production ran from 1959 to 1962. The 100 used the P5's 7-bearing crankshaft six-cylinder, producing 104 brake horsepower with overdrive as standard. Both models received front disc brakes, Girling discs at the front, drums at the rear. In September 1962, Rover created the ultimate P4, the 110. A Westlake cylinder head boosted power to 121 brake horsepower. The Motor magazine tested a 110 on January 30th, 1963, 100.0 miles per hour, mean maximum, 0 to 60 in 15.9 seconds. Compare that to a Ford Zodiac Mark II taking 17.1 seconds to 60. Production ceased in May 1964. Total 130,342 units over 15 years. Section 6. Why they called it Auntie. The nickname Auntie Rover emerged during the 1950s. Initially, it wasn't necessarily a compliment. It suggested a car that was dependable and sensible, perhaps a bit staid. But over 15 years, the nickname became a term of endearment. It captured something essential: absolute, unwavering reliability. In an era when many cars required constant attention, when breakdowns were common, the P4 just worked. It started every morning. It didn't overheat in summer or refuse to run in winter. The engine didn't burn oil or develop rattles. The brakes didn't fade. It did exactly what was expected, day after day, year after year. This made it perfect for doctors who couldn't miss house calls, solicitors who had to appear in court, bank managers who had to project stability, veterinarians who needed to reach farms in all conditions. In an era when a Jaguar might suggest you were trying too hard and a Humber was perhaps too mass-produced, the Rover struck exactly the right note. It said you were successful enough to afford quality but secure enough not to show off. Some owners kept their P4S for decades. There are documented cases of doctors who bought new P4S in the 1950s and drove them until retirement in the 1970s or 80s. The nickname Auntie captured all of this. Reliable, sensible, always there when needed, perhaps not exciting, but completely trustworthy. Section 7. The engineering that made it last. What made the P4 capable of serving faithfully for 15 years? The chassis was a proper separate frame design, measuring approximately 178.5 inches overall. Wheelbase, 111 inches. This was body-on-frame engineering that could be repaired and lasted decades. Front suspension was genuinely advanced for 1949, independent suspension using coil springs with upper and lower wishbones. At the rear, a live axle was supported by semi-elliptical leaf springs and a panhard rod. Body shells came from pressed steel, but doors, boot lid, and bonnet were made from Burma-Bright, an aluminum magnesium alloy that didn't rust like steel. Many P4S survive today because their body panels didn't succumb to corrosion. The IOE engine was an unusual but brilliant choice. Inlet valves operated by push rods, exhaust valves in the block. It wasn't as efficient as overhead valve designs, but it was smooth, torquey, and remarkably reliable. The engine continued in Land Rovers until 1979. The quality of materials was exceptional. Leather seats wore well and could be re-dyed. Wood trim was genuine and could be refinished. Switchgear was substantial and built to last. This wasn't planned obsolescence. This was engineering for long-term service. Section 8. Who bought them and why? The P4 attracted a specific cross-section of British society. Doctors were archetypal P4 buyers. In the 1950s and early 60s, many doctors made house calls. They needed cars that would start reliably at all hours, run dependably in all weather, and project professional competence. A doctor might buy a new P4 in 1952 and drive it until 1967, covering perhaps 150,000 miles. Solicitors and barristers needed cars that projected success without ostentation. A Jaguar might suggest you were more interested in speed than jurisprudence. A Ford suggested you weren't successful enough. The P4 struck the perfect balance. Bank managers, accountants, and senior civil servants formed another core market. These were people who needed to project stability and sound judgment. The P4 said, "I make sensible long-term decisions." Veterinarians, particularly those covering rural practices, appreciated the P4's combination of quality and practicality. The boot could carry medical equipment. The car could handle rough country lanes. It started reliably when you needed to reach a farm at 3 in the morning. The 60 appealed to younger professionals starting their careers. The 90 and 100 models attracted established professionals at career peaks. The 110 attracted professionals who occasionally needed genuine performance without sacrificing dignity. Section 9. Royal Connections and Cultural Impact. King Hussein of Jordan's very first car was a 1952 Rover 75. For a future monarch to choose a Rover spoke volumes about the car's international reputation. Grace Kelly, the Hollywood actress who became Princess of Monaco, also owned a P4. These royal connections added glamour to what was fundamentally a sensible, practical car. Some UK police forces, including Cheshire Constabulary in the early 1950s, used P4S as patrol cars. The P4 established Rover's reputation for building cars that could withstand professional service use. The P4 appeared regularly in British films and television programs. It became visual shorthand for respectability, professional success, and middle-class values. When a director wanted to establish a character as a successful doctor or solicitor, they put them in a P4. Rover's advertising emphasized quality, craftsmanship, reliability, and value. The message was clear: this car will serve you faithfully for years. Section 10. 15 years of continuous improvement. The remarkable thing about the P4's 15-year run is that Rover never stopped refining it. From 1949 to 1964, the car evolved continuously. The original 75, with its Cyclops, gave way to a redesigned front in 1952. The range expanded to 3 models in 1953. The high-performance 105 series arrived in 1956. The rationalized 80 and 100 replaced the range in 1959. The ultimate 110 crowned the evolution in 1962. Each change responded to customer needs. When buyers complained about the Cyclops, Rover redesigned the grille. When they needed budget options, Rover created the 4-cylinder 60. When they wanted more performance, Rover developed the 105. Total production reached 130,342 units, approximately 8,600 units per year. Not huge by mass-market standards, but excellent for a hand-built premium car. The most popular single variant was the Rover 90, with 35,903 units. The rarest is the 110, with only 1,534 units produced. Section 11. The legacy. When production ended in May 1964, the P4 had established Rover's reputation as a builder of cars you could trust absolutely. This reputation carried over to the P5, which served professional and government buyers through the 1960s and 70s. It influenced the P6, which won European Car of the Year in 1964. Even the controversial SD1 benefited from the reputation the P4 had built. The P4 proved that you didn't need annual styling changes or planned obsolescence to build a successful car. You needed quality engineering, constant refinement, and absolute reliability. Many P4s are still in active use today, 75 years after the first models appeared. The Rover P4 Drivers Guild maintains excellent records and provides support for current owners. Active clubs exist across the UK, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. That philosophy was simple: build cars to a standard rather than a price. Engineer for long service rather than quick profits. Listen to customers and continuously improve. Earn trust through dependability rather than flashy features. Section 12. Living with an auntie today. If you're considering a Rover P4 today, many have already proven they can last 75 years or more. The quality of construction was genuine. The chassis don't rot. The Burma Bright body panels don't rust. The engines, when properly maintained, can easily exceed 100,000 miles. Current market values remain surprisingly affordable. Decent 6-cylinder examples start around £3,500, with well-preserved cars commanding £6,000 to £8,000. The best examples reach £10,000 to £15,000. 4-cylinder cars are even more affordable. Decent 60 or 80 models start around £2,500. The early Cyclops 75s command a premium, starting around £7,000 and reaching £20,000 for the best. The 110 models command £15,000 to £25,000 for excellent examples. Parts availability is good thanks to active owners clubs. Many mechanical components are shared with Land Rovers. The Burma Bright body panels require specialist knowledge, but craftsmen exist who understand these materials. The 6-cylinder engines are superbly smooth when properly maintained. Even the 75 with its 21-second 0 to 60 time feels adequate because the power arrives with such refinement. The later, more powerful 6s, particularly the 110, are genuinely quick. The 4-cylinder models shouldn't be dismissed. The 60 and 80 handle more nimbly than 6-cylinder siblings thanks to less weight over the front wheels. Living with a P4 means joining a community of enthusiasts who appreciate the philosophy behind the car. You become part of a tradition that values quality, reliability, and sensible long-term thinking. 15 years. From 1949 to 1964, 130,342 cars. One simple mission: serve faithfully. The Rover P4 accomplished that mission so completely that Britain gave it a family nickname, Auntie. Not the fastest, not the flashiest, not the most exciting, but absolutely unwavering, reliable. It started every morning for doctors making house calls. It ran dependably for solicitors traveling between courts. It projected the right image for bank managers. It carried veterinarians to farms in all weather. Day after day, year after year, without drama or fuss. This was engineering for the long term. Quality materials, solid construction, continuous refinement, no planned obsolescence, no cutting corners, just honest engineering designed to serve. The P4 established Rover's reputation as a builder of cars you could trust absolutely. That reputation influenced every Rover that followed and helped establish British engineering's worldwide reputation for quality. Today, 75 years after the first P4 appeared at Earl's Court, many are still in active use, still starting every morning, still running dependably, still serving their owners faithfully. That's the ultimate testimony to engineering excellence. So here's the question. Do you remember Auntie Rover? Did your father, grandfather, or perhaps a favorite uncle own one? Do you have memories of reliable service? Are you one of the fortunate current owners keeping these cars on the road? Share your memories in the comments below. Tell us your Auntie Rover stories. What was it like to own a car you could trust? Absolutely. How many miles did yours cover? How long did it serve? If you enjoyed this tribute to 15 years of faithful service, please hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. We've got more classic car content coming your way. The Rover P4 proves that sometimes the most interesting automotive stories aren't about speed records or styling controversies. Sometimes they're about 15 years of dependable service, about cars that earn nicknames through reliability, about engineering that lasted long enough to become legendary. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep those classics on the road, especially the ones nicknamed Auntie.